It's the Questions Hip Hop Making Illmatic episode where this is going to be a crazy one. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm your host, Sean Kantrowitz, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, MidaZ the BEAST. MidaZ, what's good, man?
Wow.
We're joined today by Sha Stimuli, rapper, host of the No Bars Off podcast, hip-hop aficionado, and the exact kind of critical and colorful mind that we enjoy picking apart albums. Sha, what's good, man? How are you?
What's up? I'm very, very excited to be here, man. I love what you guys are doing. I love the trivia. I love the Making Illmatic, man. It's definitely what is needed in hip-hop. I hope you guys get A&R positions to do this in real life. Where were you when I was making my albums flooded with fillers?
we were making albums of our own and battling internally about how many. So look, we make it look easy on a podcast. It's a lot harder in practical applications. So
listen, I want to point that out. That filler identification is one of the toughest things for an artist. It might as you know. It's like, I wish everything I ever dropped was 10 songs. I wish to, like, when I see my own track list, I cringe.
And nobody is above it, because look, we were just talking, MidaZ and I were just speaking about one of his last albums.
I was just about to say that,
and we were saying, MidaZ, how many songs are on your album AU?
18. But hold on. Let's be clear.
From the man who invented the concept of Making Illmatic, by the way. So nobody is above this.
And let's be clear, Sean was an editor on my album. I brought 30 songs to Sean, and Sean was like, "This one's got to go, bro."
I don't have an exact memory, but I'm sure that I probably tried to talk you down to 10, and we probably compromised on 18.
We probably did. This one can't go. This one got the flutes on it. What are you talking about?
Sound like me. You sound like me.
Because you have an emotion. And here's the thing about the 90s.
Yeah.
Well, and because a lot of these records that we do are from the 90s, not all of them, but the thing about it was motherfuckers wasn't putting out albums every year.
Right.
So when it was time for you to give somebody a record, you were trying to give them a whole CD's worth of records.
Yeah. And that's what you made a good point. The CD, the idea of the CD, it held more songs, more bang for your buck. It wasn't like the cassette. It was right in that middle where 17, 18 was good. A car ride here and there, like in your dorm room for me, letting that thing rock. Man.
But you know what fucked me up before we start this, Sean? You know what fucked me up though? Because me and Sean, we on the same thought process with, like, that's why these records were, so long, a lot of them. I went back to, I was talking to somebody about the Michael Jackson catalog, and I went back. I did not realize, just off the top of my head, that Thriller's 9 songs.
Yeah.
Bad is 9 songs.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
They got paid for 10 back. Well, we all get paid for 10,
right.
And then the actual verbiage that's in the contracts, 10 songs.
I think it's the format. I think the format definitely matters. And what you talked about with the CD was definitely relevant, because it's just a human psychology thing. You don't go to a buffet and not fill the plate. If you know how big the plate is, you put food so that you can't see the plate under it. And it was the same. It was the same with the CD. You would just get it and you just be like, well, okay, well, like, shit. Now we got 72 minutes, 74 minutes.
72 minutes.
Fill up every single second that you can. And it's going to be interesting, because what we're talking about today is an album that's 2 CDs. So we have to ask you, brother Sha Stimuli, why the Blueprint 2, Jay-Z's The Blueprint 2, which is the album that we're going to be giving the treatment today?
It was the first thing that popped in my head, but I have a tie to Rockefeller. I was an intern at Rockefeller in 1997. So I got my first introduction to the industry. My brother Lord Digger was the first introduction to the industry. So I was on the Slaughterhouse album. For those that don't know, I was
Master Ace.
Kid Dynamite on there, doing my little intro thing. Actually had a verse that got taken off. We'll talk about that later. But so, going to Rockefeller, I had a tie to them. Lenny S was on the street team, and I was on the street team. He was the head of the street team. So I was always, just tied to Rockefeller. So, around this time when the album came out, Blueprint 1 was a classic, a masterpiece. And we heard that he was putting together a double CD. So everybody thought, wow, this is going to be like it's the blueprint double, right? And then we started hearing little tidbits of the song. I think the first song I might have heard was Hovey Baby.
Yeah.
And I lost my mind. I'm like, if this is what it's going to be, good Lord. But this was the first time, I will say, outside of a couple of fillers on Jay albums, that the Emperor had no clothes. That it felt like nobody was there to tell him no.
And who the hell would? Who the hell would at that point? You know, like kind of hard.
Me. Because I was around, but I wasn't around. But by the time Lenny would play stuff for us, it was the mystique. It was the you gotta hear this. And then by that time, you gotta kind of be like.
Let me ask you, Sha, because there's something to what you're saying about and Sean, because Sean's been in Dr. Dre's lab. Several times, right? Here's something I ain't been in nobody's lab. I'm just a motherfucker from Orlando. Here's what I would ask both of you guys. I feel like if you were to be in those labs and hear some of that stuff, it's different when you hear it in the lab with the artist, with the energy. Yep. It's like that makes bad songs good.
Terribly.
It makes absolutely. Average songs shine. You know what I mean? Like like the big personalities, the state of the art speaker system that you're listening to it on, and the vibe of the room. Yeah. Like again, we're talking about the Jay-Z's, the Dr. Dre's. It's not like these are artists that like really even at that point have peers. There's no peers. Everybody.
What are you going to tell them? What do you know that they don't know?
Everyone is just thrilled to be in the room. You can't believe that you're hearing unreleased Jay-Z songs. Like, yo, this is amazing. And Jay-Z is standing next to you and he's like mouthing along the lyrics. Like that is really difficult to contest.
They would have played As One and I would have lost my mind.
You'd have been like, As One. Yeah. I understand.
So let's talk about. Okay,
I will say real quick. What was the album? Magna Carta.
Yeah.
What was the song with Nas and Pharrell and they was all dancing? What was the name of that song? I don't remember.
Forget the name. I know exactly what Jordan was talking about. I
distinctly called Lenny. I said, "Yo, man, how did this make the album?" And he gave me the visual of the studio, and he was like, "Everybody was there. It was like one take. It was a party. It was drinking." And I said, "I get it." So yeah. That's it.
It reminds me of a similar anecdote that I've heard about. This is going to be out of pocket, but Adam Sandler makes a lot of movies that probably by all of the criteria that we evaluate movies would not qualify as good movies. But for him, he views it, and I like read an interview with somebody talking to him, or maybe it was him, where it's just like, yo, I get this money, I get to tap my best friends, and we go to Hawaii and we spend a month there. Like, that was a success. I don't give a fuck what other people think about it. I got to do some fun shit. So like hearing about that and Lenny S, depicting that story, it's like, like Jay-Z, Nas, and Pharrell probably weren't concerned about what we were all thinking. They just were having a great time and they made a song and like, whatever. I don't know.
I agree. I agree with that.
So let's talk about the album. It was released on November 12th, 2002. Jay-Z's seventh album went triple platinum. Jay-Z himself actually ranked this in 2013. He did that thing, remember, where he stacked up all the CDs, and he ranked this as his second worst at the time. I think that the only one below that was Kingdom Come. Yeah, Kingdom Come. But let's also be honest. I think he ranked Magna Carta, which was the album that was dropping at the time. I think it was like number 5 on the list, which, I mean, what are you going to do? You're not going to be promoting your new album and saying, yo, this is my 10th best album,
Right. Yeah.
I think Jay recognized that there was a little bit of fluff, perhaps, and the album itself received pretty lukewarm reviews. I couldn't find a source review on this, but Rolling Stone gave it 3 out of 5. Entertainment Weekly gave it a C. Pitchfork gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Spin gave it a 9 out of 10, which is actually like pretty damn glowing.
That's great.
But yeah, this is a double album, and we have seen that even amongst the greats, the double album is a bit of a challenge to pull off correctly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on the Source 5 mic, score ratings, we always like to start with and sort of evaluate where we would rank this album. So, Sha, based on the 5 mic system, what is the ranking for Blueprint 2 for you?
Wow. Off the top of my head, I would give it a 3. Yeah, just because of the joints that were good were really good. And it's a double album, so that's always tough. I just think after today, we can make it a 5 mic.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe 4, maybe 4.5, maybe 4.5.
All right.
Yeah.
I have an unpopular take on this album. I got to be honest. This is not one of my top J albums. This is not my number 1. It's not in my top 3. I never disliked this album as much as I saw other people you're disliking it. You know what I'm saying? Like all the things that we can agree on. It's a double album. It's bloated. It sort of plays to all the crowds in the worst way possible that was very popular at that time. You need to have a joint for this, a joint for that. I do think that this album has a lot of good material on it. I did a self-edit there. I started to say great, and I swerved and turned it into a good.
Be careful. Be careful.
Yeah, no, I never hated this album. I just think that it is a double album. Listening to it recently, it even track listing aside, I just even think that the song lengths are too long. There's long intros on everything. Yeah. I'd give this a 3.5, to be honest. Okay. I don't think that it's a trash album, but I've learned through a lot of people's discourse and on the internet that this is a disliked J album, but never hit that way for me. MidaZ, what's your take and score on this?
Ooh, boy.
You about to kill it.
This is gonna be rough. I told Sean yesterday, this is a rough listen through.
Ooh.
I was listening this week and I texted Sean. I said, bro, this is tough. It's a tough record to make it through. My relationship with this record is interesting because what year did this come out?
2002.
2002.
Yeah. This is at the peak of my hatred for Jay-Z. Right?
Wait, can we unpack that a little bit? That's a pretty strong statement.
That's it.
So I'm a loyal guy. I'm left or I'm right. So I had a conversation with my brother Jay Biz about this the other day. You were Tupac or you were Biggie? You were not Tupac and Biggie, right? You picked a side on these things, right? You were Jay-Z or you were Nas. A lot of my friends were not Jay-Z and Nas. We were Jay-Z or we were Nas. I was a Nas guy. So I had unmitigated, unrealistic disdain for Jay-Z for a bout of time in my life. I have since matured and I don't have the same disdain for Jay-Z. Quite the opposite. I think Jay-Z is the greatest MC that we've ever had.
Wait, was your line the line in the sand making? Was this prior to the public beef that they had? Was even in 1996? Were you just fuck Jay-Z, Nas is better, or was it because of the beef?
The beef accentuated it, but you got to understand, bro. As motherfuckers that was growing up in that mixtape era and in the King of New York conversations and all that type of shit, we was already putting Nas against Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? We was already putting Nas against Biggie and Biggie against Raekwon and Prodigy again. We was already doing that. You know what I'm saying? With all those guys. So I will contend. I've said a lot. And it's interesting that we got Sha, who was an intern at Rockefeller in '97. I'm a big believer, and I've argued online about this. At least me and my friends, we wasn't talking about Reasonable Doubt. Reasonable Doubt is dope, but we wasn't talking about Reasonable Doubt. I feel like the love that Reasonable Doubt gets, at least from my perspective, is a lot of revisionist history. It is as good as people say it is. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when it dropped, we wasn't on that. At least we weren't.
New York, we were.
New York might have been on it. We wasn't on that. we was still on Ghostface. We was still on It Was Written. We was still on that. Like, we wasn't talking that Jay-Z stuff. All right, cool. We heard the single. The single's crazy, but like, people wasn't talking about Reasonable Doubt like it was a classic out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, that came later. That came like by the time the second album came, people was going back and checking Reasonable Doubt. Like, oh, hold on, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like with Jay, there's always been a little bit of revisionist history. I feel like Jay was placed on a pedestal because of his talent, but before he really got there, in the sense of like, you know, people was, when Jay said Biggie, Jay-Z, or Nas, nobody I know was talking Biggie, Jay-Z, or Nas. Like, that wasn't happening. It was marketing. But he put that in the ether. He put that in the atmosphere. So when the beef happened, we were like, wait. This dude really thinks he's fucking with Nas? Like, what are we talking about? Like, this is crazy.
I just want to say, I feel like I've watched Sha have like several mini strokes with every statement you've been saying. He's like processing what you're saying. Yeah,
it's tiny ones. No, because I have knowledge of everything that Jay calculated. You know, I got the job through his cousin B-High. You know, his cousin was going to school with me at Delaware State, so that's how I kind of got the job. So I kind of knew a little bit of the inside track. So one of the things was Jay had to target people that were in the game: Biggie, Nas, and AZ. Those were the three guys. And from what I remember, I could have had this wrong, but B-High told him, you got to befriend one, make one your enemy, and get rid of the other.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was the goal. That was the plan. So Nas, him not submitting a verse on Rap Game, Crack Game. That was the first. Then there was always this talk in the office, in the Rockefeller office, about Nas's Illmatic not being all that, because 3 or 4 of the songs had verses that were interchangeable. And that was always like, he just be talking, he just be saying stuff. It ain't really, you know, and he didn't live it. Like, he was younger than Jay. Jay lived it. So there was all of this talk, and I'm a young Brooklyn cat listening like, y'all right. So I had a different perspective, but it's great to hear this. Like,
no, but I like one of the things about, and honestly, your podcast and then our podcast, and then also the questions, one of the things that I'm really passionate about with this hip hop talk is we're talking to a lot of people who wasn't there. Yeah. And it's important that all these perspectives are heard, because that's the story. Yeah. That's the story of the time. It's America. It's the East Coast. It's the West Coast. It's down South. And everybody had these perspectives. And if we don't put this stuff on record, these stories die. You know what I'm saying? And these stories matter. So we wasn't, and I didn't really I was a Clue tape head, a Ron G head. I was with all the Lazy K, all the Tony Touch tapes, all the doo-wop tapes. I was on all that. Jay wasn't burning them tapes up. That wasn't the guy that we were looking for on those tapes. You know what I'm saying? Like, there might be a Jay thing here. There might be a Jay thing there. But that wasn't burning them tapes up. And that's where we was really getting our, we down South. This is where we're really getting out who's burning up everything. Oh, it's this guy, it's these guys, this guy. So, long-winded way of basically going back and say, just to bring it all back.
I'm gonna drop the ether fuck Jay-Z drops into this whole
I just want to say I have matured to. I think Jay is the greatest of all time, right? And I'm a Nas guy. I'm still a Nas guy, but I think Jay is the greatest of all time. We could get into that in a different conversation over here.
We can get into the Reasonable Doubt Illmatic conversation too, because I've had
we can get into all that. We get into all that.
Wars.
We could get into all that. So the whole science of where my brain was at when this came out, because mind you, I also loved the Blueprint. Blueprint was crazy. Blueprint was undeniable. Even if you was a Nas guy or whatever guy, you heard the Blueprint, and you were like,
you know what I'm saying? Like, down to 10 too, but yes.
You were like, I mean, but it's not a lot. You know what I mean?
No, not a lot.
And you were like, even as a Nas guy, you were like, shit, bro, like, he kind of came with it though. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? This to be the follow-up. What makes this record worse to me is that it's the follow-up to that.
Honestly, I think titling it might have hurt him like more. Just by calling it the Blueprint 2, you're already putting so much expectation.
This is like a mobilarity.
Right. And it's
whoa.
Wait, I wouldn't go that far, but like it probably also didn't help that like he didn't let some time pass. It was like he just dropped a classic album called Blueprint, and guess what? I'm coming back. We're doing it twice as long, twice as strong. Blueprint 2. It's like, okay, like you've already set the stage. The expectations are really high. You know, if I would have been in there, would I have been like, hey Jay, are we sure we want to go this hard? But again, this is Jay, pinnacle Jay. This is like, you know, how many straight summers, Game on Smash, like
straight summers. This is why I said the Emperor has no clothes, because I was privileged enough to be around the baseline studio. This was the first time, I don't know if you guys remember, like this is where the mystique of Jay's recording process started to leak. What you were missing in Orlando,
writing and all that stuff.
Yeah, what you were missing in Orlando, we were getting the Jay got money mystique. We were getting all of the they just bought the bar, they would come to the show 20 deep and be at the club like taking over. It was like the Rockefeller mystique. I told a story on my podcast about the Dead President's video shoot where they had real money playing Monopoly. And in 96, no rappers were doing that, and somebody like, and I hate to put this story out there again, but Smooth the Hustler was at the table, had to borrow Dame's money and spill some champagne. And Jay goes, that was real smooth. And and everybody that was there said, yo, that affected his career. Think about that. Like spilling champagne at a video shoot and not having your own cash affects your career. Like y'all in Florida didn't care about none of that, but we was getting all them stories.
Yeah.
So we was like, yo, this guy he got it.
He's a boss. He's somebody.
Yes. And also this is like the pinnacle of commercial hip hop. You know what I mean? This is before Jay started growing his hair out and talking about financial responsibility. He was the poster child, which is weird for me in hindsight, because also by 2002, I was simultaneously really into very underground shit. But that never obscured me from liking Jay records. But it's just funny to me that like the same year that I'm pretty sure I was like bumping like the Cannibal Ox album, I still was also like, yeah, but the Blueprint 2 is also really good, because they totally represented like very different sides of the spectrum. But that's a great point, that he had such influence at that time, even beyond the music, that just him giving a little retort to a guy on a music video could effectively end the dude's career. So MidaZ, what's your ranking? What's your current ranking?
3.
Okay.
Yeah, 3. And that's off the strength of the really good songs.
We're in the same boat.
It's off the strength of the really good, because I think the bad songs are pretty bad.
So wait, you're not ranking it off the strength of the really bad songs? Is what you're saying? It's
just that the really good songs are really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're more good than the bad songs are bad, but the bad songs are bad. So that's the flip.
I'm curious to know what's the good and bad to you guys.
That's the rub. That's what's interesting, because we're all like, yeah, the good songs are good, the bad songs are bad. Now it's like, let's see which ones fall into the categories for each other. So we're going to get into it. It's the 3-man vote. So we got to vote to cut or keep. We're going to start with here's another interesting thing. And again, maybe this is undercooked. It's the gift and the curse. So there's the gift disc and the curse disc. Is there really a differentiating theme between the two? I didn't really pick up on that. MidaZ, I see you shaking your head. Sha, is there anything, you have any insight?
The Emperor theory again, man. He was doing what he wanted to do.
All right. I didn't want to speak out of pocket, but yeah, that seems pretty evident that it's like, I'm going to name one disc gift and one curse. And everybody's like, that's great, Jay. And we're not going to correct you on any of this.
You know what always pops into my head when I think about some of these deity artists is that scene in Walk Hard. Remember Walk Hard? Dewey Cox story?
I never saw it, actually.
Vaguely.
Oh man, there's a scene in Dewey Cox where he becomes a big artist, and he starts to create the greatest song of all time. And he's bringing elephants into the studio, and he's bringing he's bringing Aborigines into the studio, and he's just like, I'm just waiting for the perfect sound. And, you know, it's this thing that artists do where like you get so like in your own, now you've got metaphors for your album that nobody else gets, you know what I'm saying? And just shit like that. And I think that's where Jay was at with this.
Did you say Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers? Is that what you were talking about?
Yo. So listen, Sha, we would love to have you on for that record too, because we have been talking about doing that record too.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to require me to listen to that record for a second time, because I listened to it once and I was like, yo,
me too.
This is so deep. This is so like, I can tell it's so heavy. There's so much stuff that I know I didn't pick up. I'm gonna have to revisit this, and I never revisited it again. And it's not even a knock to the record, but I mean it's just an honest response.
Count me out though. Count me out as the record. You play that. I play that. That was my most played song of 2022. That song.
Yeah.
That song wins.
Oh man, this is great. We were looking for a person for that record. So
I mean, listen, me and my co-host did Confessions of Fire on the phone the other day. Wow. Just talking about y'all's show. And we was like, I think we got to 10, but we was like, man, that could have been classic.
Fire.
All right. Let's get into it. First disc, The Gift. Track number 1, It Is a Dream, featuring Faith Evans and Notorious B.I.G., produced by Kanye West. All right. Let me just say,
break the ice.
This is a weird way to start the album.
God, it's a weird way to start an album.
And I understand, because so much of Jay's identity at this point was being very reverential to Big. And in many ways, the caveat of him receiving the crown of King of New York was also all predicated on him acknowledging, like, hey, I am the King of New York, perhaps because the original king is gone. But all of that said, no pun intended, because he said a lot in that verse. It's just a weird start to the record. It's a Kanye production. It doesn't really sound like a Ye production from that era. You know, the reuse of the Juicy verse was like, I didn't view it as like disrespectful, because again, if anybody can do it, it's Jay, but it didn't really add a lot for me. And this song is a cut, but it's not a cut like, yo, this song is bad. And again, that's kind of how I feel about a lot of the songs on this record. This isn't bad, but it's just kind of like, okay, yeah. It's a cut. Sha, what are your thoughts?
This is tough for me, because I understand the logic behind the record. It's everything you said. It's the tribute. It's understanding that if Big was here, this spot is not necessarily mine. It was one verse, which I was happy about that. He didn't drag it on. The C I said is another. It's one of those moments where it's like nobody's gonna say anything. It's borderline corny, but it's kind of like repetitious. With all that said, I don't know if we get to 10 without it. So I had it on my list, but that is, it could go either way. I'm not gonna cry if MidaZ cuts it. So yeah,
this is a mild keep from you.
It's got to go. It's got to go. Look, Sean said the word, or no, Sha said the word. It's corny. It's sometimes with these concepts, bro, like the concepts are on this line of like, it's a cool concept, or you tip over the edge and it's completely corny. And you know, Jay's voice, I think Jay has used his voice a lot better in the last 10 years than he did in the first stretch. His tone, he knows what he does vocally better than I think. And I don't know, he doesn't sell this concept to me. Is it this I said? Is it this I said? It's like, you're not doing it for me. The Faith Evans part of it, it's a yeah, we're doing a big joint. Like, let's get Faith on it. Yeah. But like, she doesn't help at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, the thing she's singing shouldn't be sang. She's like, this is what he said. Like, bro, it's tough. It's a tough listen. And then again, Sean and I talk about this all the time, but songs can be made better or worse by where they are in the track listing.
Yeah.
And it's possible that I hate this song so much because it's the first song on the record. Maybe you don't hate it as much if it's the 8th song on the record. But
this one doesn't matter where. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Like,
I'll tell you what, I actually think, and as a producer, maybe this is where my brain goes towards more. I think that the beat is what actually provides the highest potent level of corniness to this song, because
right.
And let me break it down here. The concept itself is kind of interesting. It's like, okay, like Jay had a dream. It's a reference to the Biggie. It was all a dream. And like Sha said, it's sort of and every time I or anybody says said in this segment, I just start to laugh because I'm thinking of Jay singing it. And then Sha said, but you know, it's an interesting enough concept. However, I've talked about before, I don't like shit that seems overtly grandiose. And man, This screams like big budget blockbuster, like everybody shut up, be quiet for a second. Jay's about to say something really important like on this song. And like if this were over, I know this is like cliche for the type of sensibility I have, but like if this was over like a dustier Premiere type beat, it would actually maybe go over well, and it'd be like, yo, this is dope, and like, you know, he's talking a big and he's talking about this dream. But the fact that it was so like you could like feel the gloss coming off of this beat. It's so like,
it sounds scored. It sounds like they put a smoke machine to make it look like a dream. Like your dream.
You also don't want, I don't know. You don't
they
want.
They brought a smoke machine into the studio for him to record. They just said, we need smoke.
You don't want a very complicated, metaphoric concept song as the first record on your album. You don't want that. I promise you, if the Nas, It Was a Gun song, which is a phenomenal song, right? We love that joint.
Yeah.
That can't be the first song on it was written. Not the first song.
Yeah, but hold on. This song is not that deeply conceptual. It's just him talking about a dream where he saw his friend to a dude. It's not like, stacked metaphors.
But it is conceptual.
Well, okay, it's conceptual, but it's not like, you know, it's not a metaphor. It's not like, you know, him rapping from the perspective, like KRS talking about he was a blunt or something like that.
I don't want you guys to answer this right now, but as we continue on.
No, fuck that, right now.
Have this for you. Have this in the back of your brain. What's the concept song that opened an album that works?
I mean, that's you're right.
Okay,
you can't answer that right this second. But
you can't. Like it's tough. Like your opening song is a thesis statement, and this is not a thesis statement. This is a concept. It's a concept that doesn't bleed into the rest of the album. It's not like it's a concept song because it's a concept album. It's a concept song and then it's not a concept album. That's the struggle that I think we have there. So it's a fucking cut. It's got to go, B. It's got to go.
All right, let's move on. I'm sorry.
Sha's like, why did I agree to do this podcast?
Nah, this is great.
All right, we're gonna move on to track number 2, produced by Just Blaze. It's Hovey, baby.
This is if you 50 years in the future, 50 years from today, 75 years from today, if we were to go, or if somebody were to go, hey, let me tell you about you ever heard of this cat Jay-Z? And that person would be like, I'm not really familiar. It's Hovey, baby. You're going, this is who this guy was. This is the most classic sounding, this is who Jay-Z is song. This encapsulates everything that Jay-Z was at his peak. He was this guy, you know what I'm saying, who did these type of songs, right? You couldn't necessarily play nothing from the last couple of years because that's a different Jay.
Yeah.
And even the Jay from the Reasonable Doubt days, that's a different Jay too. This is the archetype of Jay-Z. This is the guy who became famous, that we all knew, that we all understood. This is what he did. He had all the mannerisms and everything with the Just Blaze beat, with everything. It's fire. It's a big keep for me. It's just Jay-Z doing, it's archetype Jay-Z. It's fire.
Yeah, I'm next.
Yeah, we go in any order, so
Yeah.
hop in whenever
dance
you
around.
Yeah,
I know how it worked, but when God Did came out, I remember thinking when Guru was saying it's the best Jay-Z verse ever. I think this was the thing this was one of the verses I thought about this song, and I was like, I wonder, was one of these three verses better than God Did? It was just like one of the thoughts I had. This was like one of my favorite Jay-Z songs. Like you said, it encapsulated everything from the music choice, from just taking that TLC live rendition of a song and turning that into what he turned it into. You think about the hook. When I first heard the hook, I was like, it's not really a good hook, right?
It's not. It's
not a good chorus. Like, touch the untouchable, shake the unshakable. I'm like, if somebody else would have came up with that, they would get out the studio, man. Like, but for some reason, it works. It works. He milked the whole name thing from Jigga to Hove to Hovey Baby. Now it's like, yo, man, all right, enough with the name. But the rhymes combined with the music and the vibe, the things he's saying, the space he was in the game, it was almost like now the king thing was kind of solidified. And that second verse, when he talked about being so far ahead of his time, about to start another life, look behind you, I'm about to pass you twice. And he spit this on the radio in New York on Hot 97. And only two resting in heaven could be mentioned in the same breath as him. It was like, this was the time when he was flexing his pen that he didn't use, of course. Like, this was it. Yeah. It's a keep.
Yeah, it's a unanimous keep. This song is just great. And also, if we want to talk about in sculpting our version of the album, this is how you fucking kick off an album. If this is track one, it's impeccable. I think it's, to echo everything that you guys have said, it is just, him at his peak. The rhyming is crazy. It's also a very unconventional type of beat. It doesn't even really fit like the typical like regular time signature, and you never notice because he makes it look effortless. And not enough and not many rappers honestly have done that, or even for all the ways in which Jay has influenced the game. And you can point to so many lesser artists who sort of will follow the breadcrumbs that he leaves. Nobody ever really did this afterwards on a commercial level. Like, I'm going to rap over like a weird time signature and the drums like switch up, and it's crazy. I love it. It's an obvious keep for me. I don't have a lot more to add because you both, touched on it. I don't want to just run my mouth just to also talk. This is just a fucking great song. Keep it.
Yeah. It might end up on No Bars Off too. That second verse might end up on my show. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Rappers, I just want to say, pay attention. Where you put your songs in your track listing matters. Where you put your songs matter. Whole different feeling for this album if this starts the album and the first song comes second. I mean, literally a whole different feeling for the entire record if this starts and the other joint comes second. You feel different about the second joint just because you just heard the first joint. It matters. It matters.
All right, we're going to move on to track number 3.
This is what he said.
This is what he said. Track number 3. Produced by Dr. Dre. It's The Watcher 2 featuring Dr. Dre, Rakim, and Truth Hurts.
With a hand was ducking the vans, race on a Peter Pan bus.
So I'm going to ask Sha, what is this, if you know, what's the science behind this song? Is there a science behind this song?
This is the Dr. Dre connection that Jay had. that was similar to what you saw in the Fade to Black with Pharrell coming to the studio with joints. And if you've been in the Dre studio, been around Dre, he's captivating. You know, I made this joint for you. I'm playing this joint. This is your song. He did this to Kingdom Come and littered it with whatever he did. But this was the predecessor to what was coming. So if you like this, you know, the flow that Jay had on it, similar to what he was doing with Truth Hurts at the time. You know, I think Rakim was on Aftermath, so that's why he got a feature. I saluted that all day. You know, Jay flirted with this with the Rick Rock beats before that, and this is supposed to be like the upgrade to Rick Rock. Like, now I got Dre, you know.
So this was definitely, I know it's called The Watcher 2, but it was definitely recorded after The Watcher, correct?
I mean, it was released after The Watcher too.
Yeah.
But, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean it happened after. Sure. I just wonder, because The Watcher was a good record.
Yeah.
This isn't as good as The Watcher.
Okay, so I don't hate this song.
I don't hate it either. I'm not saying that, but go ahead.
I mean, I agree that it maybe doesn't do much to improve upon the design of the first one. It's kind of just like, hey, did you like The Watcher? Well, here's some more of The Watcher. We got The Watcher too, which is like very meta to have a sequel song on a sequel album as well.
That's strange.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I could like possibly add is that, you know, Jay obviously wrote Still Dre, and so maybe this was just like a payback for that, or just not even a payback. I mean, I'm sure he was happy to do it and he got paid well to do it, but you know, just sort of continuing that relationship. And it's basically the same beat with just a couple more. They added they added the guitar on there. Yeah.
It's strange to me because, like, I wonder what other artist have we ever seen that was like, it's the only connecting tissue is Dr. Dre, right? I mean, more or less, because Truth Hurts isn't on the original Watcher, right?
No.
So, like, the strange thing about this song is, like, imagine if Redman was like, yo, you know that, you know, whatever rapper song, you know that Biggie song, you know, Juicy? This is Juicy Part 2. But like with Inspector Deck and, you know, so-and-so.
No,
and
hold on. That is not what this is. Let me also reveal and pull back here. This is also like savvy marketing and business, because this is like, okay, Dre and Jay together. Dre has a label called Aftermath. Dre signed Truth Hurts. Dre has Rakim on the label now. So this is also the alley-oop to being like, yeah, I'll do a song with you, Jay. And also let's whet the appetites for everybody who's, you know, wait till you hear the fucking Rakim Aftermath album, which right. Hope you're not still holding your breath for that.
No, that makes sense. I guess the part that I'm thrown off about is, so then just make a new song. Like, I don't understand why you take the old song and just go, you know what we'll do? We'll just like do that song again, but with other people. Like, it's so strange. It's a strange song. I say that to say, I have it as a keep. I have it on the keep off the strength of Rakim. Rakim catches a body on this record. I thought Rakim caught a body on here, but okay. I just have to let it be known that it's just like, why does this song exist? Like, why could it? I mean, I know Dr. Dre, most of your beats are Mel, man, and you wouldn't sell if you were by yourself, man. I understand the science on that, but you didn't give him another beat, any other beat. Y'all couldn't do no different song at all. Y'all just did the same song again. It's a weird song to be on this record. It really is. But with all that being said, it's still a keep for me because, I mean, you get a Rakim feature in 02. I mean, you just wasn't getting a lot of that. And Ra, I thought, did his thing on this. So that's where I go. I go keep.
Sha, what are your thoughts?
I'm kind of falling in line with him. I don't know if Rakim bodied it because, you know, I don't know, but I think it has to stay. Yeah.
I love it. It's gotta, you know.
Yeah, I think it has to stay.
I voted to keep it as well. I don't feel super strong about it. It's not like, it is a weird record. So there's going to be weird records that we cut and weird records that,
you know why you don't feel super strong about it? Because you heard it 2 years ago on another album. But go ahead, continue on.
But yeah, I'll say this. I do think it's a really strong beat, and like I'm not mad at the idea that this almost becomes like a break for like that every rapper should rhyme on the Watcher beat. I don't know. I just think that it's like people sound cool on it. Jay sounds cool on it. Rakim sounds cool on it. Dre sounds cool on it. Like, I don't know. Like, there's even a freestyle I remember that Eminem put out where he's rapping over the Watcher beat. Obviously, I think M wrote the original Watcher as well for Dre. But yeah, I don't know. Like, look, I'm not gonna like go to bat for this song, but it's also one that I don't skip when this album or when this song comes up. So
that's true. Yeah. All right.
The most lukewarm ass keep that we've ever done.
I guess we're keeping it.
Luke, I am your father.
All right, we're moving on to track number 4. It was, I believe, the first single or one of the first singles from the album, produced by Kanye West. It's 03 Bonnie and Clyde featuring Beyonce.
I remember this song. This was a single, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big single.
I mean, it better have been for what it is.
Yeah. I always felt like this was a calculated record. This was kind of like the announcement of them being together. It wasn't really about the music. That irked me because I felt like the two of them together could have did something better and not just kind of did the spin on me and my girlfriend. Him taking some of the cadences. Pac didn't really rock with him like that. It was awkward for me. You know, I felt like they just selected the joint that radio would have ate up instead of really making a good song. And, you know, after the Blueprint, I wasn't expecting this. You know, you broke the rules 2 times with Hard Knock Life. You broke the rules with that single. With Blueprint, you know, you kind of did something different. H to the Izzo was different.
Yeah.
Like I didn't expect this. So I didn't keep it.
I just realized, I've never thought about this before, but you putting it that way, he, on the same album, remade 2 West Coast songs back to back with The Watcher and then the Pac joint. I'm trying to remember and get my memory clear on this. Was this a huge single or was this?
I remember it burning up MTV.
I don't know.
I don't know about radio. It burned up. The video burned. The video burned.
Okay. So it may have burned up MTV, but I think we can safely say that it hasn't had very strong longevity. It's not like this is looked upon now as, the classic. I mean, I think maybe the interesting footnote is that this was the first time that Beyonce and Jay worked on a song together or released a song together. No, I mean, this is just a cheesy song to me. It's a cut because it does seem like it's very commercially aimed and just not interesting, you know? Like I just don't think that it's an interesting execution. It's a radio joint, and Jay has a lot of radio joints actually in his catalog that are great.
This isn't a great one,
but this is not a great one. So for me, it's a cut.
Yeah, I had a cut on this too. You know, back on the Jay Nas thing, a big argument when we would have our Biggie Pac conversations and our Jay Nas conversations. One big thing that always came up was like from the Nas side, you know, in our arguments was like, yeah, but all he do is recycle shit. Like he's a recycler. Like he recycle this, he recycle that. He run big rhymes. He run Pac songs. He run, you know, like at the time we felt like Jay did a lot of this. Like it was paying homage to the point where you're like, yeah, but he don't do nothing original, bro. Like he always got like 3-4 different things. That's like somebody else shit. That was always a thing that was a part of the argument. Sha said it, man. Like we thought it was so weird. Oh, we'll get you back in. I'll just say this: we thought it was so weird that Jay was doing a Pac song and Pac was dissing. Like I don't know. That threw us for a loop.
So it's a unanimous cut. We're
unanimous cut.
All right, moving on to track 5, also a single from the album, produced by the Neptunes. It's Excuse Me Miss.
Hey, I'll jump in, man. That's a keep, bro. That's a classic. I mean, bro, if you was in the early 2000s and you was going out, this was ringing. It was ringing. The remix is even crazier. But this it's funny. I love it when the song and the remix both ring. And this was ringing, man. This was ringing. Again, I could do without all the pay homages to Biggie and all the, it's a lot with Jay sometimes, you know, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it's a great record. It's a great record. The Jay Pharrell thing is a thing. Love the Jay Pharrell thing so much more than I love the Jay Timbaland thing. The Jay Timbaland thing is a thing too. Jay Pharrell thing is a thing. And they got some joints. So this is a big key for me.
This is almost like you had to be there type song. like the video put it over the top. I could still see it. Shorty in the elevator and all of that. Like it's a vibe. It's definitely a vibe. I didn't love every Jay Pharrell connection. I thought that they had their moments, and this was a Pharrell song with Jay on it to me.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of felt like. And I like when Jay has more input, but this one definitely is a single. It's definitely not a first single, but it worked for what it was, and I have it as a keeper.
Yeah, it's a key for me too. I do think that they have great chemistry together, but again, it's not rock solid because there are some Jay and Pharrell joints on this album that are probably not going to make the cut. But yeah, no, I think it's great. I think it's almost the opposite. It's the invert of the previous song that is like, okay, they both were made with commercial intent. There's no hiding that, but one seems just like, at least it was original. And I know you're talking about the Biggie homage that still exists, but you know, it's still, I don't know. It just felt like it was creating something new. And I want to say, unless I'm remembering incorrectly, kind of introduced the term grown and sexy in a more popular, lexicon, which again, when I hear grown and sexy today in 2023, I'm probably more annoyed by it than anything because it just gets bastardized and it's like, oh no, it's a grown and sexy thing. But again, you can't fault the originator for inspiring a bunch of, copycats. But yeah, I like this song. It's like, it's a commercial song for the ladies that I will never skip. It's good.
Is this Craig Mack?
No, this is Jay-Z. This is Jay-Z.
Flavin' Yeah. Is this the next joint where the remix is just smashing the original?
I wouldn't put it that way because for me, the remix to this song is it's actually a different song. It just happens to have a similar hook, but like it's not the same rhymes. It's not the same concept, kind of. And like they don't even capture the same mood.
Nah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good call.
I like the remix though, but it's
remix is really good.
Yeah, but it's like,
it is a whole different song. It's not even the same thing.
Right. It's like, this is like smooth and sexy and like going out and like sipping champagne. Like, excuse me, miss, again, just sounds like you're on like some club drugs, like that.
Right.
Yeah. But whatever, we can appreciate both. We're going to move on to track number 6, produced by Timbaland, featuring Sean Paul. It's What They Gonna Do. The aforementioned Tim and Jay combo. Okay, I can already anticipate we're going to say a lot of bad things about this song, and that's fine. And it's even crazier that I think that there was so much confidence that they had about this song. There's actually 2 versions of this song that are on this album. There are. However, we're not going to talk about that. Let me just say one thing. I think Timbaland is incredibly underrated in the game. I think that as a producer, he is fucking phenomenal, and I think that the only reason that he doesn't necessarily get the same props that a lot of the other contemporaries get is because he doesn't really have like hip-hop classics in the way that like a Primo or a Pete Rock have. But like as a producer, as a musician, as somebody who's able to like sculpt a sound and influence with the sound, Tim is unfuckwithable, and I'll even say this, and I haven't done this in such a long time, but I've listened to this song all the way through, and this is after years of skipping this. There's a minute and change at the end of this record where the beat flips completely, and it's like another fucking like, and he did this a lot. He did this all over the Justin Timberlake records, where like the Suit and Tie album, like every song, if you know the song from the radio, it's like a 4-minute song. The album version is an 8. Yeah, like he flips it, and it's like so dope. Timbaland is the greatest in my mind. He's one of the greatest. This song is not good, and it's a cut for me.
Timbaland's not a great. He's not a great hip hop producer to me. Before you went into that, I was where my brain was going is Timbaland's phenomenal, but I don't think he's phenomenal for hip hop. I don't like a lot of stuff he does with rap. The stuff that I love with Timbaland is R&B. I mean, he murders everything Missy. He murders everything Aaliyah. He murders everything Justin Timberlake. He murders all that stuff. But when it's rap songs, it's just, I don't know if that's his bag.
You're just going to forget Bubba Sparks and just, you know.
I'm going to just forget Bubba Sparks.
And Magoo. You're not going to put Magoo and Bubba Sparks?
Listen, we ain't going to talk about Magoo today. I don't want no smoke with Magoo fans today. But, yeah, I just don't think Timbaland's biggest bag is the hip hop bag. I think when he comes over to the rap side, it's typically, in my opinion, underwhelming. So, you know, I think Jay really tries to bring the best out of Tim on the hip hop side. I think Jay really does, but you know, he's Timbaland. You're like, yeah, I want to like. If Timbaland called me and was like, yo, I want to produce something for you, I'm like, yeah, like you're fucking Timbaland. I don't know that we're gonna make a great song. I don't know that we're gonna make the best song. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if that's gonna lean that way. So I'm just gonna. I mean, this is a cut for me. You know, he was on the Sean Paul thing, but Jay did a lot of that, like which is so weird for him to have to do. You just came off the Blueprint. You're fucking Jay-Z. You don't got to do all these tricks, bro. You can just fucking continue to be Jay-Z, and you're gonna kill the game. But like. Yeah, we got to get Sean Paul. You know, we got to get Lenny Kravitz, too. Like, he's popping right now, too. Like, I don't know that we had to do all that.
So, do y'all know the story behind this record?
No, please.
Okay. So, Six Figure Digger did the original.
Okay.
Right? My dude who lives out here now, shout out to Digger. He did the original joint. So, the original joint was getting mixtape love. Like, it was rocking. Like, it's not a bad song, which is just shows you that beats mean a lot. I wish I would have known that in my whole career. But the song existed, right? Timbaland hears it and tells Jay-Z, I can do a better version. This song, the way you're rhyming sounds like, it has a reggae, a Caribbean vibe. He said, you need something more to the appeal to the you know, the reggae fans. He was like, and we're gonna go get Sean Paul. And so Jay didn't ask for any of this. But again, the studio vibe, the speakers blasting, Timbaland doing the beat right there, taking the Jay vocals, everybody like, you heard the original, now everybody's like, oh my God, this is eclectic, this is bigger. I think he might have got Sean Paul on his own, just like, yo, check this out. Like,
niggas didn't even have to pay him. Like,
right. You know. like now what you gonna do? You're gonna say no to Sean Paul? He was the hottest thing you know what I'm saying? Sean Paul was killing in 2002. So Jay was like, yo, that's the one. The label was probably like, yo, that's the one.
That's the one.
Streets loved the other one. And they included it on a bonus, but it's a cut.
Now I got to go back and hear that one.
Well, you're gonna hear it because it's part of the album. I
didn't even. You know what's funny? What is it, like the last song?
It's the very last song. Yeah.
My list, if I can share my screen, goes through 12. I didn't even go to 13. I said, I'm out of this motherfucker.
What they gonna do?
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize that, but that makes more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm just trying to like find the grace in the song here. Like, if it didn't have Sean Paul on the song, you think we would like it maybe a little bit better? Would it seem a little bit less sort of cloying for that radio appeal? I don't know. Like, maybe. I don't know.
Different time, fellas. Different time.
Different time.
I'm telling you guys, man. To the fans of Making Illmatic, do your logics on the whole Jay-Z Timbaland catalog. It's not a lot there, bro. I'm telling you, there's not a lot there.
Lobster script, it's a couple.
I'm not saying there's nothing there.
How about Big Pimpin' and Dirt Off Your Shoulder? What the fuck are you talking about?
Listen, they did a lot more songs than that.
Fair.
I'm not saying there's nothing there. Saying there's not a lot there. That's what I'm saying.
See, here's the thing. You keep telling me, MidaZ, that you want to go on the road when I do these questions events. I can't take you anywhere now. We can't go to Brooklyn now. There's been so much Jay slander. And now you're talking slick about Timbaland. We can't go back to Virginia. Like,
you know who you're dealing with, right? But this is also why you fuck with me.
Yeah. Well, I'll just if we go anywhere, I'll just have you go in the room first, and then we'll see what happens. All right, we're going to move on to track number 7. It's All Around the World featuring LaToya Williams, produced by No ID. All
right, I got a take for you guys.
What's up?
Same beat. No LaToya Williams. No Jay-Z. Common. Fire record. There's a tone that needs to be on this. There's a take that needs to be on this so there are Jay's the greatest of all time. This is not a Jay beat, bro. It's not, to me. Like, Jay makes me not care about the beat. LaToya also makes me not care about the beat. Take away LaToya, put a different MC on this. Beat might feel a little bit better to me.
So you're saying this fits on the B album, the Common B album?
No, bro, this is on the B album. This is a record.
But if Jay was on that record,
if Jay was a guest feature,
yeah,
we could live. Because I already know, like, when I hear beats like this, and bro, you're an MC. Like, when I hear beats like this, there's certain tones and certain, like, I already know Common how he would attack this. I know which angle he's coming from on this. Not to say that this should be a Common song, but like when I hear this record, I think Common right away. Like I think of a different MC. And I don't know that Jay, with the Jay of 2002, doesn't compliment this instrumental the way that I feel like it should be complimented. And we don't need LaToya at all. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. I had it on the fence. I literally wrote on the fence because I do like the beat. I just don't like them on the beat. So I'm gonna go cut on this one.
Yeah, this is definitely Denzel and Fences. And only because the music, it's a good beat. It's a No ID.
Good beat.
Chicago vibe. LaToya Williams adds a little bit of drama to it that is kind of unnecessary. She makes it theatrical. Like, she turns it from cinema to theater. And if you're not into that, it's like, But similar to you, and maybe I don't know if you made this point, but the rhymes are not potent. The things he's talking about in 2002, it's almost like you went in on the blueprint. You had all of these bars, these things to say. This album is like, we call it like a heat check in basketball. Like, I just made 4 threes. Let me just shoot one, just to see what's gonna happen. Like, coach ain't gonna take me out. Like, this whole album was coach ain't gonna take me out. You know what I'm saying? And this is one of those songs where it's like, somebody probably brought I don't know the story behind this one, but this doesn't sound like Jay crafted this song. It sounds like it came with a hook. Jay was like, I go all around the world. I got bars for this. Let me go in the booth. Everybody's like, oh my God, he didn't write it down. It's the best song ever.
What if this was on the Dreamer, the Believer?
Sure, yeah.
You're going too far with the common thing now.
Any common album, yes, it would have worked. Any common album, yeah. Jay was like, the world? I live in the world. This is a perfect fit. It doesn't add up for whatever reason to me, like, because the rhymes are not whack and the beat is not whack, but it's like 1 + 1 + 1 = like 2.5 to me. So it's a cut for me, and I always would skip this one, and it's just an album. It's like an album cut on a double album. So being an album cut on a double album is instant death. You know?
That's a good point.
Yeah. Look, if a song to be called All Around the World, and your rhymes are the rhymes you choose are London, South to France, everywhere we go, you know about your man. Like, ooh, Jay.
Reminds you of Monster, right? Monster's rough.
Oh, because of the listing? Is it the listing style? The Loch Ness, King Kong. Yeah. And I'm one of the originators of the rundown flow, so you might have stole that. There's something about when Jay does it, because I don't have a problem with the rundown flow, but something about Jay's phrasing on it, it just never sounds cool.
Oh no, it was bad. Let's not sugarcoat that. Let's not sugarcoat that at all.
In both of those examples, he just sounds too excited about these items that he's had on the list. And it's like, these aren't really deep cut or very interesting. Like, hey, you want to go to dinner tonight? We can go to Fridays, Applebee's, Chili's. Like, it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, these aren't.
Listen,
yeah.
If you say Goblin and Goober in a song, like, somebody in the studio has to be like, all right, bro.
But nobody's doing that because
nobody's doing that.
You didn't write it down.
Emperor Close. Exactly. All right, we're going to move on to track 8, produced by Kanye West. It's Poppin' Tags featuring Big Boy, Killer Mike, and Twista.
Shoot, forgot about that sound that comes in. Jesus Christ.
It's better than you're a big girl now. For the grown with your hormones now. I mean, it's better than that. You know?
That's a good point. It's a good point.
It's better than that.
I'm not mad at this song. To be honest, like, it's again, it's weird in hindsight to think that it's a Kanye beat, because I guess it does kind of sound like a Kanye beat.
No, it sounds like a Kanye beat of the time.
It does. It's interesting that, like, it's such a multi-regional song as well, because you got, Big Boy and Killer Mike, and then Twista with the Kanye connection. And then, look, Jay sounds great on these beats.
Jay's killing.
In a way that not a lot of New York MCs did at the time. Like, Jay was a pretty early adopter and good adapter at really, riding those type of beats. This is a soft keep for me because everybody kind of goes off on it. There's no embarrassing verses or anything, which I know this sounds like it's a really low bar. I'm just saying nobody embarrassed themselves, so it's a keep. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I fuck with it. I don't have to explain myself any further. It's a keep for me.
Do you guys know why Andre 3000 is not on this record?
No.
I think because he hates rapping, according to all other contexts.
Because he was at the train station with a flute?
No, he simply said, I have nothing to contribute to this. Like, it's not, I'm not popping tags. I don't care about popping tags. Like,
I mean, you have to respect that. I feel like we're doing a disservice to this episode by not immediately going to you for, Sha, what is the inside track story behind every song?
I don't have all of them, but I will tell you that I did not know what popping tags was until I stepped into Rockefeller. And they literally would buy clothing and not take the tags off and wait for unsuspecting person to see the tag. And let's say this shirt is new. And I'm like, yo, man, that shirt is high. And yo, is that the tag? Oh, yeah. And then they would take it off once you recognized it. To let you know.
I fuck with that science.
So I was not privy to that information. So I had deep-seated hatred because in 2002, there was no way in the world I was doing anything like that. Like I wasn't. Yeah. I hate the chorus, the way it moves. The we be popping tags. It's very corny to me and forced. That sound, that sample voice sound that comes in, whoever that is, you know, I hope they're gone from the earth. Just, it's a lot of things that irk me. I don't think I ever got through it. I don't even know Killer Mike has a verse. I don't even think I heard it before. So that's no, I love Killer Mike, but I just don't think I ever got to that verse. Twista's on it too, huh? Love Twista. Yeah, love him.
Well,
but, yeah, I cut it. So on you.
With respect to Twista, who did Twista's never spit a bad verse in his life.
True. Facts.
So, with respect and reverence for Chicago's Twista, this is a cut.
Hey,
I feel bad about cutting anything that has Twista on it because Twista's never spit a bad verse in his life. Twista's a rapper. Twista's a lyricist. Twista's
one of the greatest
of all time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, but first of all, I hate any song in which you have to throw a nod to the hook in a super obvious way in the verse. Jay-Z, I be popping tags. Okay. We kind of know that. The song is called Popping Tags.
Song title. Yeah.
The hook is Popping Tags. We kind of don't need you to do that too. Right? Like this era of Jay, while it is like peak Jay as far as superstardom and all of that, like he was like apex Jay in that way. He was these songs like these fueled our arguments at school. Like bro, you listening? Like when Jay said that, do you fools listen to music or do you just skim through it? We were like, yeah, we listen to this shit. This shit is not good, my guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fuck? You know what I'm saying? And in my maturity, I've gone back. Jay ain't never spit a bad verse in his life neither. I mean, Jay's rapping. He's out here. You know what I'm saying?
Like, people might have been close, but
that's the person that gave it to
Loch Ness might have been there too.
I saw Shaw's face. He was like,
Goblin. But Jay,
we were just talking about this.
Jay says some things, bro. Jay gets busy. And like the older I get, the more I'm catching like, oh, maybe I wasn't in tune to this line, or this verse, but hold on, like this guy's out of control. But he got some stuff where you just like, bro, you was really out here chasing dollars in a way that we didn't have to go that far to chase the dollars, bro. Like you were already Jay-Z, bro. You could have did anything. You didn't have to go this route. And that's the frustrating part about listening to a project like this. Like when you look at Blueprint, it's his, if not his first greatest album, it's at least his second greatest album. However you want to place it with reasonable doubt. And he did it with unknown producers, with minimal features. And it's a big record. It's got some of his biggest records. Like, why would you just turn around and go, all right, so now I got to do like super obvious radio stuff. Like it's a weird flex.
But this was Blueprint was the first time that he took records, right? So that was one of the times that, you know, I remember being at that point in my career where people are kind of telling you, hey, you need to do this. Ooh. So if he got his biggest hit at the time, well, the hit that kind of changed things for him was Can I Get Her? You know what I'm saying? Like Hard Knock Life was you know, after that. But Can I Get Her was the one
that record.
Broke through, right? And that's the one that broke through. So that was Ja's record. So now a lot of these songs, but I don't have the backstory for all of them, but I know some of these were not his songs. Some of these, you hear, you go to the studio, somebody send you something, I need that. Because you might think, I can't make that, like, but I can be on it, and now I can do the same thing I did with Ja, right? And he had a couple of those on Blueprint where it was like, this wasn't really his song, but
that's the thing. That's definitely a thing.
He's not a businessman. He's a businessman.
He's a businessman.
It is frustrating, and I hear what you mean, for somebody who was clearly at a technical pinnacle and also at a commercial pinnacle. It is sort of like, why are you doing this then? Like you don't need to, but that is also probably the mentality that separates millionaires from billionaires. Like he didn't need to, but he was like, actually, I need to, because not only do I want to be number one, but I want to be number one by such a wide margin that it's going to be out of there. What you said reminds me of something else that I've always thought about with another person who was huge at this time, Eminem, where it was like, yo, Eminem, like the king of the game in terms of like record sales, obviously very talented. It always irked me even then, like, why are you not getting beats from the dopest producers of hip hop? Like, you could do anything you want, but it was frustrating to see that he, and to an extent in a different way, Jay, were kind of playing it safe, or playing it in a way that was like, okay, we just want to cover our bases. It would make sense, especially on a record like this, where it's not like this record made a difference. Like Poppin' Tags didn't improve the sales of Blueprint 2, and it didn't like break through in a crazy way. So it's just kind of like one of those moments where you're just like, damn, like, and I know I voted to keep this because I just enjoy it musically for what it is, but like it is frustrating when you see these legends, even at the time they were legends. It's like, why not take a risk or just do what you want to do versus playing, swinging for the fences. You know what I'm saying? Before
we jump to the next song, I have an idea. I'd love for us to do a one-off pod one day, just talking about 2000 to 2004, 2000 to 2004, 2005. Because I feel like 2000 to 2004, 5 is such a like odd time. It's the ringtone era. It's the South taking over in a real way. Like so much was changing in what we know as hip hop. It's a weird time because as you're saying that, Sean, what you're reminding me of is, but to contradict my own last point, coming out of the Blueprint, the landscape changed so much and you're trying to keep up. You know what I'm saying? Like, the South is doing different things. You know what I'm saying? Like, New York isn't really hitting the same way. Like, so now we're playing these different games. The club is playing different. The radio is playing different. Like, we do have to consider those things when we talk about albums and music from 2000 to 2004, 5. Like, there's a lot of stuff from that era that don't play no more. Like it won't ever happen again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you got.
Okay, so I figured out it was the audio. So the crazy thing about 2002 was radio spins and regions. So that was, and y'all probably remember these times where they would see where your radio spins were reaching or where your sales were. So Jay was weak in Cali, Jay was weak in the South, Jay was weak in certain pockets of the Midwest. So this might have been that play to try to make that happen, which is, and again, the gift and the curse, the concept behind that was, I'm at the top of the game. It's the greatest thing in the world, but I'm kind of battling against myself. So that's kind of like the curse, that it's just like being at the top, is equally good and bad. And this was him like saying, I have no competition.
So wait, are you implying that the curse and the gift and the curse is referring to him knowing that he was making bad records, or records that records that he had to do to maintain, it's like, it's one thing to get there, it's another thing to keep it,
Well, I think he answered that with the Blueprint 2.1, where he tried to do this show, right?
Which is crazy that we didn't even refer to that.
If you text me in a couple of days and be like, yo, we got to do the Blueprint 2.0, I'm just going to.
No, it's this. It's just less songs.
I'm just going to.
Y'all don't remember that?
I do remember it. I can't believe we didn't mention that at the top. I hope that we do a better job than 2.1 did, because I don't think he did a really good job with 2.1.
Yeah, I didn't even look it up. It just hit me just now, actually. Like, so. Let's move on.
Track number 9, produced by the Neptunes. It's Fuck All Night.
This song tickles me. Oh my goodness.
I'll be short. Get it out of here. That's all I gotta say.
Sean, what you think, man?
It tickles me too. It's
it's funny, man.
It's so boldly what it is that I almost can't be mad at it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like this is just a silly ass record, like for the girls. Like, I have a very specific memory of I think I was in college maybe when this like record had come out, and like I just vaguely remember I was like playing like ping pong with a friend, and this song, we were playing this, and this song came on, and he just started dancing in the same way that you were just like kind of laughing. Like, it's undeniably silly. But I don't know that it's supposed to be. That's my only problem with it. It's like it's cheesy. It's just cheesy.
When Pharrell comes in with the situation.
Yeah, yo, bro. What was that line sound that he said just now that made us both laugh at the same time?
He's like, had to pretzel her or something.
He said he scratched like he had Tiger. Like she had Tiger in her. She scratched.
Come on,
like
bro.
she had Tiger in her. Like not inside of her, like Tiger in her DNA. Like there's some ancestry that has Jungle Cat.
It's look,
like is that a double entendre for Tiger Woods?
Oh God.
Maybe.
Am I missing it? Like,
oh God.
He's so far ahead of his time that we're going back and analyzing these lyrics. Look, you can see that like they broke through in a major way with with Give It to Me, like, which was another kind of like but nah, you can't even make that comparison. This is
Sha said like he had Jungle Cat in her.
oh, maybe if he just said lion and could have used that as like a double entendre and flipped it, like, yo, she had lion in her. Oh yeah, okay, she lion. Like, nah, bruh. Nobody in the studio was like, man, maybe you could keep that one on the next album. Like maybe this could go on something else.
Yeah, it's a cut. It's a cut.
All right, I'm not even gonna go. I'm just come on.
Yeah.
Fuck all night? All night?
You
talking
should
about
be coming
hyperbole.
home with me. Yeah,
man.
it's not good.
Did
All
they
right,
spell night N-I-T-E?
you know that they did. You know that they
Damn, I hate that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This was a cute song for the girls. Like that's
Yo.
just look at the title. Anyway, track number 10, produced by Timbaland. Interesting. We'll get into it after we listen to, but track number 10, produced by Timbaland. The song is called "The Bounce."
I turn an 8 to an ounce to a hoax.
It's interesting. I had to pull out the actual.
Oh wow.
The actual artifact here to confirm this, because if you look up this song online today, it says it's co-produced by Kanye West and it's featuring Kanye West. Let this be a lesson and a reminder of how fucking superficial and fake as fuck the industry is. In the CD and in the booklet, there is there's additional vocals by Kanye West. This song was not featuring Kanye West.
Not featuring Kanye,
and it's not co-produced by Kanye West, but that's just been an after the fact thing. I feel like the only notable thing, in my opinion, about this song is that it does feature an early verse by Kanye West. Early in terms of like, being out in the world and in the public. Yeah, this is a pass for me. It's a cut. It's just it's very album cutty to me. It doesn't move the needle for me.
Was this the Kanye verse that he girls
on the documentary?
Yeah, from the documentary. Is that on the album? It made it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can cut it. Yeah. Timbaland did the beat, right?
Yeah, Timbaland did the beat.
Ooh,
my points is hitting right now on the Timbaland J light.
It's just Swiss has a mechanical sound sometimes, but it's hip hop.
You do too.
It's hard. Like sometimes, yeah, Tim, man, he gels with Missy, gels with Justin.
He does great R&B.
I think when he samples though, he wins with hip hop.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one, No, I don't like the bounce. No.
Yeah, I had it as a cut too.
We got 3 songs right now?
We have 3.
Oh God.
Yeah.
The second disc is better. It had
the look he just had. He was like,
this song represents everything I hated about Rockefeller. Like if you were to say to me, what's Rockefeller? This plays in my ear. But
really?
I feel like you're doing this and everything. Like
that's
not what they do is wrong. No.
In 2002, to me, what they do was fire, but it wasn't the sound of Rockefeller. Like this is the sound.
But that's interesting that you would paint Timbaland as this musical sound of
honestly though, the sound of Rockefeller was this. You was doing this with your shoulders and your fist. To me, it wasn't like it was doing. You had to do this. If Dame Dash couldn't dance to it, it wasn't the sound of Rockefeller.
But it was more rock the mic. It was more rock the mic than this.
Okay, sure. I would put that above this, but this would sit in that universe. You know what I'm saying? Like, rock the mic would be the thing. But like, for guys, again, when we would have our beefs at the bus stops and all that type of shit, and we're talking about Jay and Nas and shit, we use songs like this as our argument. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, motherfuckers just be out here trying to but the bounce and Nas is doing. I had 8 partners growing up. It's 8 turned to 7, 7 turned to 6 niggas. That's where we was at with the argument. So yeah,
Nostradamus, Nostradamus came out.
I was about to say it's not like
he did make Nostradamus. That did not help our arguments. That was the other side of the argument.
I think if anything, with this song and the sound of this doesn't represent Rockefeller to me, but it does represent like what was becoming the increasing gap in between. Do I really want to like continue to like wait anxiously for like the music released by like the commercial kings, or am I more interested in what's happening in the underground and more interested in what's happening in the indie space? And like it was songs like this that made me, obviously I didn't go away, and I told you earlier that I didn't hate this record, but although I hate it more now that we're halfway through the first disc, but like it definitely for me was like, you know what, this is like an old friend that I went to school with that I'll check in for a little bit, but let me see what these raucous cats are doing. Let me see what these like Def Jux like people are doing. Let me see what all these other like more fringe stuff, because to me it was more exciting. This to me was like just, it was a glaze of like just commercial sugar shit that I didn't like.
Can we do Nostradamus too?
Nasty Esco to Escobar. Nostradamus.
Are you saying should we do an album called Nostradamus 2, like how Jay-Z did Blueprint 2?
Nostradamus 2.1?
Yeah. All right. We're moving on to the next song. It's produced by Jay-Z and Big Chuck. It's I Did It My Way.
There's redeeming qualities about this song. But
yeah,
there's also shit qualities about the song. Like it's a weird thing because it's got both in the same thing. Like when he's rhyming, it's dope. The beat's dope. He's killing it. It's fire. And then as soon as the beat breaks down and I didn't mind, you're like, yo, what the fuck is this, bro? Like,
I mean, I would argue that the part of the beat is not dope, actually. But I mean, these are just opinions.
It doesn't. It's not this. It's this. Okay. However you look at it.
Hey, MidaZ, can I remind you that most people listen to this podcast? This is the second time that you've made a very visual reference. You're like, it's this.
Hey, man.
We will watch it too. We will watch the YouTube.
Y'all niggas need to pick up on my mannerisms, motherfucker. Like, come on, join the club.
Just know what I'm doing when I'm not, telling you.
To piggyback off of MidaZ, the song has 2 lanes, I believe, and they're clashing. They're driving right against each other. And one side is Jay's ad-libs that are out of place and and rhymes that are like almost dope, but not really, crazy. And then there's this breakdown of Frank Sinatra coming in that if it was arranged better to be either at the beginning and end as like bookmarks, we wouldn't have to deal with it. We wouldn't have to, because the drum breakdown, the piano breakdown, all of that stuff is hard. Like we that's when we rock, and everybody's face looked the same when it hit that part. And then as soon as we got to the it's the greatest thing ever. I did it my way. My mom made it. Like, it was like, oh. But I kept it.
Wow.
We need it.
They won't have 10 songs. It'll just be.
We need it.
It's almost like he sampled that somebody. Like, we don't need, you don't have to do that, bro. Like, we good.
I'm telling you, if it was just at the end, in the beginning, just to establish what we're doing here, and you really rhyme, if he rhymed like Hobie Baby, or even What More Can I Say, and he really went with purpose, like those songs were purposeful. Like, I did all of this. What more can I say? Like, I'm at this level. I did it my way. He's supposed to take all of the trends that he did, all of the things that embodied how he really did it his way, and put that on record. But instead, he wasn't writing rhymes down. He went right in the booth and just, yeah.
So your vote is to keep. MidaZ, is yours a cut or a keep?
My it's the cut.
Yeah. So Mine is to cut as well. It's just it's too inconsistent, even within the confines of one song. And yeah, I mean, in a way, this would have been a better contender for the Black Album, because it's like the retirement. He hadn't announced and fully confirmed the retirement. So I don't have a lot to say about this song. I skip it pretty consistently and didn't find a lot more redeeming when I revisited it. But now we're done with the first disc, so now we're on to the curse. Man, this episode is getting long. I mean, we're only halfway done at this point. So you know what? If you want to hear the rest of this episode and find out what happens with this album and what we do when we get to disc 2, there's only one place to hear all of that, and that is the Questions Patreon. So to hear the second half of this episode, go to patreon.com/thequestionshiphop or hit the link in the episode notes. I will be back next week with another brand new episode of The Questions. Till then, thank you for listening. Peace.